Hello, class. My name is Kristen. This is my dog Cowboy in the background. He got stitches in his ear last night, so he's hanging out with us today. But anyway, secondary trauma is a really important thing to understand, especially in the social work field. And essentially, it is basically a secondary response to working with people who are going through traumatic things. So it can also be called compassion fatigue, which I think is a really interesting name and it really encapsulates what it's all about. Um, so it's essentially a byproduct of working with traumatized clients because as a person in a helping profession, you're putting yourself in a position to go through that trauma with them, which is a very noble thing that social workers do, but it can be very stressful. So some of the symptoms are lowered concentration, apathy, rigid thinking, perfectionism, preoccupation with trauma. So you're just thinking about it and thinking about it. Also, you could have guilt, anger, numbness, sadness, helplessness, which all kind of goes along with that typical PTSD that we see. Additionally, you can see withdrawal, sleep disturbance, appetite change, hypervigilance, elevated startle response. Again, this really is going into that typical PTSD because it presents very similarly. Physically, you can see increased heart rate, difficulty breathing, muscle and joint pain, impaired immune system, and increased severity of medical concerns. So those are what the symptoms look like. And then in order to address it, it's really hard because it's something that as a social worker and as somebody in the helping field, you're putting yourself in that position to deal with traumatized clients. So it's really important to have balance in your life. I would recommend everybody have a therapist. That's just me. But I think it's really important for people who are working with traumatized individuals to be able to have their own outlet. Relaxation techniques. I personally love meditating. I think it's wonderful. Contact with nature, creative expression, tactile things like knitting and things like that. Assertiveness training. So like being able to set boundaries and say, no, I can't handle this today. That kind of thing is really, really important when you're dealing with secondary trauma. Additionally, in order to reduce exposure, it's pretty difficult when you are in a field in which you are dealing with people who have trauma. But I think a big part of it is just, like I was saying, coping with it. But being able to say no to things is a great way to help that, like, prevention, I guess. And saying I can't take on this client because I'm already up to here on, my own mental health. Creating organizational culture. So like when you're working in a workplace, being able to have a space within your workplace where you can go and deal with that trauma that you're taking on. Diversified workloads, so maybe working with people who are traumatized, but also working with less severe cases. Being in a safe work environment is a really important aspect of that. So just knowing that you're in a safe space, your coworkers are supporting you, and making counseling available. I said this earlier, but I think that everyone in a helping profession, or maybe ever, should be in therapy as a place to just be able to unload and just be the best person and the best social worker that you can be. Thank you.